Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. Today I want to talk about Diablo 3 and how I really got into it. And I'm not talking about from Diablo 2, which, obviously most people that play Diablo 2 were going to play Diablo 3. Now, I'm talking about how I set our strategy in motion to do, well in Diablo 3 in terms of, running through the game and setting up a team, setting up the no-life action, and how that all came about. I think it's a very good story that can teach a lot of things to many people. So I think it was maybe February, something like that, where I had been renting Diablo 3 beta through D2JSP Forum Gold through several people. I was just checking out the game. The beta, you can only get to level 13 and you can only kill the Skeleton King, so it was very limited in that sense. But at the same time, all the mechanics were in the game. They were all there. A lot of the functionality about how the classes interacted with one another, it was all very evident from people who played the beta, a decent bit. And I played a little bit here and there. I was just probably sitting in World of Warcraft because that's what I played before Diablo 3 for the longest time actually. And I kind of understood um, an idea. You see, I had a very good idea about how Blizzard runs things, how they release games, and what to expect from a game before it's actually released. Because you see, um, when you were playing like the Diablo 3 beta, you could understand a lot of the mechanics, and you could see a lot of the rest of the content, although it was like super like top secret. You could understand it from what they were saying, and this is what happened in Diablo 3. So in the beta, there was the system where you had like attack and precision and like defense, and basically it was a game where you had all these different stats, but they all exponentially scaled off one another. You had attack, which is percent damage, which is like strength or int or something like that. That was one stat for all the classes. And then you had the second stat, precision, which increased your crit, and then crit percent damage was a very common stat on pretty much any gear. And then you had a few other things with the way weapons work, the way weapons scale off these things, and all that other shit. And basically, it was a situation where I was able to make some quick calculations based on the information that was available at the time to see how much damage you could potentially do at a max level character using just like basic gear that would pretty much be projected from the blue gear like level 13. And with that, we concluded that people hit for like 1,000,000 damage, and that didn't make any sense to us. Keep in mind, this isn't like blue gear, the scaling of the blue gear, not like super decked out legendary 1.0.5 stuff. Like, settle down. I know people hit for 1,000,000 nowadays, no big deal, I got it. But back then, it seemed like a very surprising thing because you make a new character, you're hitting for 2 damage. So I mean, how does that scale? How do you balance that? It didn't make any sense to us. And us being, Crippy and I, we were the only two playing the game on the beta. So it seemed to me, and probably to Crippy as well, that Blizzard probably didn't really know what they were doing. I mean, you can't balance a game that has three stats that have exponential scaling and are pretty much the only stats available on gear. The balancing is just out of control with a game like that. And we were just kind of puzzled. Diablo 3 was kind of, pretty fun thing to do on the Diablo 3 beta. That is just to play a little bit, do a couple runs, play new characters. There'd be like a new patch, some changes. We'll just play again, maybe try a new aspect of the game. It was cool and all. And then on the beta, they did very distinct things. They came out with the current stat system, which is like strength, dex, intelligence, vitality. They came up with that system all at once, and that seemed like a very good system because it wasn't really as imbalanced as it was previously with the attack precision, all that shit. That stuff really, really could not be balanced. And this system looked very, very promising. So the game was looking a lot better. And a few weeks down the line, Blizzard releases a little bit of information that startled a lot of people. They said that PvP will not be released on launch of Diablo 3. and that hit me really hard. And obviously it still hasn't come out, so we're still waiting on that. But the important thing is, while I was like playing other games, playing the WoWs, I came to the realization that the goals of Diablo 3 were very simple. You see, when Blizzard makes a game, at least I figured at the time, I assumed a few things. I assumed that they knew what they were doing, which is usually true. And I also assumed that they have some kind of strategy to keep people playing the game. That's what Blizzard does best, or at least has in the past. So I looked at Diablo 3 in its current state, in its most updated state, after they've made all these significant changes. And it looked like a game that was so easy to balance in terms of PvE scaling. It looked like a game that had no real motivation. And it looked like a game that would have a lot of people playing it. And the one thing that really had a lot of thought directed at it from me was the motivational factor to play the game. Why would someone play Diablo 3? Why would Blizzard make a game and remove PvP and then remove the base of items? Because let's back up a little bit. If you have an auction house that you can spend real money in, like the real money auction house in Diablo 3, and you say that all items are tradable, then you can't base a game like that on the items, not solely, because if you do, then there's no game. The guy with the biggest checkbook just like pays for all the gear, and everyone else just kind of feels that empty feeling like, why am I playing this game when like the whole purpose is to get items, but the guy who has the most money can just buy them all. That's not a good game strategy. And I figured they can't base the game on items alone. Okay, they just can't for it to work. And I also figured that because there's no PvP, they're probably really far away from doing PvP. And I thought the reason was because they just switched to this new stat system, so balancing in PvP might just be restarted, and it just might take too much time, and they just don't have enough time until release. So I figured, yeah, that's why there's no PvP. It's pretty evident to me. And the only thing that they can really do with the game is have the PvE be like really good. But because Blizzard wants to keep people addicted, and because there's no difficulty in achieving the max level, there had to be an extreme difficulty in Inferno. You see, in Diablo 2, people were content with the PvE. You just slay monsters, you get the level, you get the experience, and you need to keep your defense pretty good, because if you die, you lose the XP, and getting to the max level is like impossible if you die too many times. So in Diablo 2, leveling never really ended. In Diablo 3, leveling ended, and I predicted, maybe like 15-20 hours it would end. Like it'd be a very quick ending to the leveling. So there's only one thing that you can do. You can have an ability-based, a skill-based system through the PvE that made it almost impossibly challenging. And I wanted to base my goals in this game based on this fact. I was essentially making the bet that Diablo 3 will be extremely hard. And as such, because I realized this fact, and I think no one else realized it, I wanted to capitalize on it. So what I did was, I realized a few more things. That group play would have to be the best way to come about, completing Inferno and doing all the hardest things available in the game. I also realized that it's a Blizzard game. It's an extremely complex game, and the amount of theory crafting at the time was like zero. There was one website out there, it's called armadagaming.com or something like that had some theory craft stuff, but it was like, just getting off the ground just a little bit, And because all the mechanics were in the beta, I figured it'd be really worthwhile to invest some time into finding out how the game actually works, and doing this as a team and having a system we actually ended up doing through spreadsheets, like I organized it, of course. To have a system where all of us can have direct input to like a unified theater crafting base, so we could understand the game on another level compared to just the average guy playing the game, and even like the average extreme gamer playing the game. We would just know more than they would, so we'd have the knowledge advantage, we'd have the teamwork advantage, and we have the skill advantage because we were playing the beta like to the brink of insanity, and in the end, it obviously paid off because we did very well. I think we got the U.S. first Inferno clear, like 5 days into the game. We did really well, but obviously that's not how it ended. A lot of our initial assumptions ended up not being true. The primary one was that Blizzard didn't really know what they were doing. They made a lot of mistakes with Diablo 3. And also the fact that group play was actually really bad in Inferno, but we based a lot of what we knew from the beta, and in the beta it was like the normal scaling, where with more players mobs didn't do more damage, they only had 75% more life, and in that scenario obviously group play would be encouraged. So we had a lot of wrong guesses, especially on my end, that we made on the game, but overall our accumulation of correct assumptions, correct guesses on the game led to where we ended up in it, and it was quite an experience that we essentially got right. We bet on the game being really hard, and we won, and that's how you do it. Being able to analyze a game like that is a really important fact, and I really hope to do that in the future when there's another like big game coming up. But for the time being, we're just chilling out, like pre-Diablo 3 mode, just playing some World of Warcraft, and hopefully that'll entertain us for a good bit until the next big game comes around. And maybe, just maybe, we'll take it just as seriously, be just as prepared, and own it up just as hard as we did in Diablo 3. And we'll see what the future brings. See you guys tomorrow.